The Paris Paralympic Games are winding up following nearly 2 weeks of sporting competition, with the closing ceremony about to start at the Stade de France. Paris has used the event to make its streets more accessible, although problems remain.
The Games were a showcase of impressive performances by armless archers, limbless swimmers and footballers kicking the ball into a goal they were unable to see, against stunning backdrops. And it was a formidable feast for visitors. 2/3 of the French watched at least parts of the Paralympics.
There are so many happy people, volunteers, spectators, people from all sorts of countries.
It was impressive to see people with disabilities overcome them to achieve the extraordinary.
The Games were also an occasion for some to put themselves in the shoes of people with disabilities. For example, while playing sitting volleyball.
This makes me realise how difficult this sport is and how much you have to adapt to it.
I love it, and I will try it again when I come back to my home.
Ahead of the Paralympics, the city made changes to help people with disabilities get around and created 17 barrier-free neighbourhoods, like here in northern Paris.
There are knobs on the ground for the visually impaired, and the pedestrian crossing is flat without cobblestones. We've expanded this alley so that there's more space and made the 2 sports facilities here accessible by constructing this lift, which helps people get around the stairs, and by building a wheelchair ramp. By 2026, we'll have invested €125 million in these construction works.
But this sports philosopher says more needs to be done to change the mindset.
People with disabilities are not visible in our society. They don't hold office, you can hardly see them on TV, and only a few of them are in the performing arts. It's impossible for them to project themselves and dream big.
And additional construction works will be necessary. The Paris metro is largely inaccessible for people in wheelchairs. Changing that could cost more than €50 billion and take as long as 20 years.
And our correspondent Lisa Louis is standing in front of the Stade de France, where the closing ceremony is due to start shortly. Lisa, what's the atmosphere in Paris tonight?
Well, there are thousands of people who are flocking to the stadium here behind me. The stadium has a total capacity of 80,000 people, and I think it's fair to say that there is a sense of excitement in the air despite the rain that people are clearly determined to defy. I spoke to some supporters earlier today who have been telling me that, they really very much enjoyed this happy bubble that Paris had turned into during the Paralympics, but also during the Olympics a few weeks back. So everybody seems to be looking forward to this closing ceremony tonight here, indeed.
Now, you've been there both for the Olympics and for the Paralympics. Give us your verdict. Were both games a success?
I think it was a huge success. Many people were really dreading the Games ahead of them taking place. Lots of my friends were saying, I'm going to leave Paris, it's going to be horrible. So many people, public transport will be overcrowded. And what happened was actually that truly many people actually left Paris, but they were replaced by tourists, by Olympics tourists, but also by other French people who came here and watched the Games, and everybody had a smile on their faces. It was, you walked through Paris and it made you just feel good, and that's also what people were telling me. The French can certainly be happy about the outcome. When you look at the medal table, they ranked 8th, which is a lot better than 4 years ago, where they were ranking 14th in Tokyo during the Paralympic Games. Overall, I think it's fair to say that this really has been a success, especially as lots of people here in France and also abroad were fearing that terror attacks might be happening during these days and weeks, and that didn't happen. Everybody was just happy with the Games. They were watching them, they were cheering, and they were just glad to be here and to be part of that huge street party that Paris turned into.
Lisa Louis there in the Olympic city of Paris. Thank you very much, Lisa.